All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our premiere episode of GRAFFTV. I have for our premiere episode the one and only, a writer that needs no introduction, an MVP, 20 years in the streets of Los Angeles, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only UPN. Thank you for being our first guest. We really appreciate it. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You forgot the other crews though. Also rep RTDK, RTH, CMA, TBU, Ask the Boys, RTN, and of course CTS, Circle Triangle Square, all day, every day till I die.
Wow, that's a long list of well-known, established crews in Los Angeles. Again, welcome to our platform, and let's get this thing started. Let's start at the very beginning,
Let's do it.
Where were you born?
I was born in South Central Los Angeles. Born and raised off of Vermont. Florence and Normandy. That's where I grew up, where the LA riots went down, 92. I was there.
Wow. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
I got one sister by blood, but I got many sisters through love in the graph game. You sitting right next to one of them, and there's a few other ones. Spunner, Pearl, Miel. I got some real sisters.
Growing up, what were your parents like?
My dad was never there. He's more like a homie. And my mom, single mom trying to make it, trying to take care of us. I think she did whatever she could to take care of us, and we lived on the streets a lot, slept in a lot of cars. She had to be with a lot of abusive men that used to beat her up a lot just to make sure me and my sister had a place to live, a place to sleep, a place to eat.
What was that like growing up for you? Must have been difficult times. Who would you go to, or who could you turn to at such a young early age when these serious things were happening around you?
I had nobody. Just watch my mom get beat up. There was nobody to go to. My dad wasn't around. No uncles, no father figures. There was no help out there, so just got all that trauma.
Right. How does that influence you growing up? Were you more of a shy kid or a troublemaker?
I mean, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was mad at the world. I had, I was really big on protecting women, watching my mom go through what she went through. Really advocate for helping women and being there for women, even though I was just as toxic and patriarchal because I'm affiliated by association. I'm a guy too, so women don't trust. It's hard for women to trust another man that really wants to help because they don't know what their intentions are.
Growing up, did you have any heroes, any people you looked up to, or any figures that could guide you in the right direction?
All the figures and heroes I looked up to were fake. They didn't really exist in reality. I'll say Superman from the comic books was pretty cool. Michael Knight from Knight Rider, that TV show, I like that. And mostly and Michael Jordan, those are the people I looked up to, but they really didn't exist in my world, in my life, in my reality. But they gave me hope, they gave me inspiration.
With all this going around you, when did you turn to graffiti? Was graffiti a safe place for you? Something to get your mind off your home situation? Or how did graffiti enter your life?
Graffiti entered my life when I went to high school and I was hanging around the UPN crew. They introduced me to breakdancing, hip hop, DJing, and all that. And it opened me up to a whole new world, and it was very liberating to know that you can do something and exist outside of the norm. You don't have to be what everybody wants you to be or what society projects you to be. You can be something more. There's something else out there that can give you life, give you inspiration, and give you hope, you know. But I was introduced to it like in the 10th grade in high school at Washington High. And, you know, as soon as I saw it, I went to the library and got that Subway art book. I don't know if people know about it, but I started doing stuff that Dondi used to do, replicating his sketches, copying him, and I was toy as fuck. I was super toy for a long ass time, and I'm probably still toy to some people, but I was toy as fuck, and that's how I got introduced to it. It was I was happy being a toy, even though I didn't have style, I didn't have funk on my name, but I was just happy to let people know that I exist, that I'm here, I'm not nobody else.
What attracted you to graffiti? Was it the camaraderie? Was it the art? Was it the danger? Or just going out at night?
I think the first thing that attracted me was the circle, the cipher, the family, and the being able to be accepted for who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter the color of your skin, no matter how tall or short you are, and being able to kick it with people and hang out, draw on books, express ourselves, watch graffiti videos, listen to hip hop, and really, that's the first thing, was just the love, the unconditional love, and being accepted.
You've been in the game for over 20 years, but back then, who were some of the writers that influenced you? Some of the writers that caught your eye. Do you remember any of those names?
Oh, of course. Chaka, Cope 2, GK. Revoke was a big one. We used to look at him in magazines. Retina, because we were big LTS, KLG fans. Air. It was the CDPs. I don't know if people remember that crew, but CDPs were very inspirational. And the UPN crew, they were going out doing rollers on the 110 before everybody was doing them.
When you get to Washington High, do you start off with the name Sight, or were there other names that you tried out first?
No, so I started at Washington, and then due to my living situations, I was living in the cars. A Mexican family adopted me, took me in. They took care of me. They were about to make me wear boots and the alligator belts and all that shit. And we had some problems because the dudes, her baby daddy didn't like the fact that I was in there, so gave me the boot. So I first started writing at Venice High. No. It was Crenshaw. I've been to 10 different high schools. I was getting kicked out for graffiti on my rise into it. But the first name I wrote was Blah from ODD. I was my first crew at Fairfax. And then I think somebody had that name. Then I changed it to, I was writing Superman back at Crenshaw from TRH. And then that name was kind of dorky, kind of like, I don't like it. It didn't get enough respect. So I changed it to Sight, and I was writing it at Uni High, Venice High, and got into my first crew. I don't consider them a real graffiti crew, but they're more tag bangers, BWI. And I had to deal with the CSM beef at Venice High. And then after that was DWP. I don't know if people remember that crew. But those were the first two crews, and we were doing a lot of tag banging. I think the head of Love Crew was the head of DWP, and we go way back. But BWI was like the first official crew. They jumped me in. I got jumped in, I got knocked out, and that's where it begun. But my love and my passion for it didn't start until I got into the UPN crew.
early on in your career, did you have any writing buddies, someone you consistently went out with?
Oh yeah, of course. Digital from UPN, changed his name to Novus, RVS. Envy from OTR, if you guys remember Envy. We were pretty consistent. And Gist, are better from RVS. And last but not least, Search. Search was the #1 guy that I went out with the most consistent. Rest in peace, Search. He took me under his wing. That was my big brother. And he schooled me in the game.
Rest in peace to another graffiti legend in Los Angeles, definitely. I want to save that part for later in our interview, but let's take a little step back.
Okay.
You said that you were a little bit of a toy when you started out. How did you progress? Would you practice at home? Would you just write on the street? Or how did you get your style to the level it's at now?
You know, nobody really wanted to teach me. So I taught myself. Every day after school. I'll write every letter of the alphabet over and over and over. I practice only with pens because it represented to me the spray can. I can't make no mistakes, just like with the spray paint. I tried different styles. I saw different stuff in different magazines and tried put my twist on it and try different lettering over and over and over and over and over after school, every day. And I progressed over time. And unfortunately, nobody was able to teach me that. But with the skills that I gained by teaching myself, I was able to help teach and start other people onto the path of doing graffiti.
Early on, would other writers cross you out?
I mean, early on, I didn't know the rules, so I'm doing a lot of spot jockeying. I'm doing a lot of things you're not supposed to be doing. I know Gasso, I heard Search told me Gasso was mad at me. A lot of OG heads were mad at me because I was spot jockeying their spots and I was so toy, super toy. And not a lot of slashing, but a lot of capping. A lot of people capped me back because I was doing a lot of spot jockeying.
How were you able to finally gain your respect?
By being consistent and going out there and getting it on my own. As time went on, I got better. I got better at it. My outlines got more. I don't know, say. They became what they are today, with much practice and repetition. And I think I got my respect because the streets don't lie. Just go out there and you put in the work and people see it and eventually they respect it.
Who taught you the rules of graffiti? Was it different individuals? Do you pick it up as you go on? Do you just learn it by mistakes?
You know what I was learning? It was a bumpy road, so I made a lot of mistakes. Search taught me a lot, but I you know, at one point in time I had a big ego and I felt like I knew everything. Doing certain things got me jumped, got me beat up, and I learned those lessons about how dangerous graffiti can be, and the do's and don'ts. So hopefully, I'm writing a book right now. It's called The 10 Commandments of Graffiti, and I'm gonna publish that sometime this year. And it's basically to educate and inform the new generation and the current generation about some of the rules that I picked up on that are unspoken, and hopefully it can help them from not getting jumped or crossed out or losing their rep or losing their credibility.
You mentioned you moved around from school to school, about 10 of them. Do you remember first getting caught at school?
I got caught a few times at school. I got kicked out of Crenshaw because I was running around with a crew called TRH, and we're tagging in the school with spray paint. And they had like a little, the school police created a graffiti task force that eventually found out who we were and got us all kicked out of Crenshaw.
Wow. That's a pretty big deal in high school.
Yeah.
What does your mom say about that, or your family, your relatives, once they find out that you're getting kicked out of school?
At that time, I was living with a Mexican family that adopted me. You know, they just shook their heads. But you know, the thing about that Mexican family that took me in, even though I was fucking up, they still loved me unconditionally and accepted me for who I was. And you don't find that a lot in a lot of different families. I don't know if it was the cooking, I don't know if it was the novellas we were watching, but that Mexican family, the core of it was just so filled with so much love, that we accepted each other no matter what. We backed up each other no matter what.
How old were you when this family took you in, and why did they have so much love for you?
I was about 16, 17. They were just good people. They just want to help people. And they seen me on the street and took me in. And I think that we sometimes think that there's not good people out there, and that there's all this racism that keeps us apart. But this is a Mexican family that didn't even know who I was, and they took me in, loved me like their own son. And these are the stories that people don't hear about. Like, you always think that like there's always like blacks don't like Mexicans, and in some instances that happens, and that does exist. But in this situation, like, that really changed my life to this day. So I always got love for all people, regardless of their nationality, because of what that mom did for me. She didn't even have to do that. She put money in my pocket. We eating carne asada. We had a jalapeno eating contest. We did our homework together. We watched novellas together. We went to go look at Christmas lights together. Like, dude, that's pure family right there. And I wish everybody could experience growing up in a Mexican family household. They got some values that need to be pushed.
What would they tell you when they learned about your graffiti career?
They just told me I need to stop. I need to stop doing it. But you know, I was so passionate about it. And I was living on the streets, and I was hurting, and I was going through a lot of stuff. So that was my way of releasing. That was my way of getting it out of what I've been through and what I was going through. Because my mom was still living on the streets when they had adopted me. Eventually, they brought her in too, and we were both sleeping. Me and my mom sleeping in their house.
Did your mom have any, how can I put this? What was your mom's reaction when this family wanted to take you in?
She was shocked. She didn't believe it, because she was conditioned to think that, like, with that racist perspective, like, you know, like Mexicans don't like black people. But I'm like, nah, dude, like, this is a game changer right here. You need to experience this, because there's people out there that just think like everyone's out to get them, that everybody that they don't know is racist, and that's not the case. That's not the case. This family proved that all wrong. So I still love him to this day. I still see him. I still hit him up. I went back last year and told her thank you for the sacrifices she made and believing in me. She really had a big influence on me.
Sweet, man. Your name, Sight, very well known in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. There's only one. How did you come to start writing that name? Where does it come from?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like, I seen it. I seen the dude wrote Insight, and in a Canadian graffiti magazine. I think he's from BA. And a lot of people used to say I had insight. So this is a part of me not knowing the rules of not doing the research and not knowing my name. I wasn't taught that. So I started writing Sight. And much love to him. He's an OG. He's been writing before me. I used to write Sight 1, but I got to give credit to the Sight in Canada first and foremost. So I had to change it to Sightzilla. I'll never be the only Sight. I'll always be the second Sight, and that's just showing respect to the Sight in Canada that came before me. I'm Sight USA, but he's Sight Canada, but he will always forever be the OG.
Once you start writing Sight, do you tell everyone your name and who you are, or do you keep that a secret, as most writers do?
I kept it a secret for a while. Kept it a secret. Didn't tell nobody, especially when I was going to, especially when I was from BWI. I was at Venice. I'm the only BWI there. There's 40 of them there. So I'm going around slashing them up, slashing them out, and they're trying to figure out who I am. Same when I went to university, there's a bunch of gangs. There's a gang up there that didn't like BWIs, and a few crews that didn't like BWI. So I didn't tell nobody who I was in the beginning. When I got to Washington High, people started knowing who I am because people like to talk, and I started hitting up UPN. So everybody wanted to know who Sight was from UPN. And the UPNs, let them know, like, that's him right there. And the word spread, and it was just like, what? A black guy doing graffiti? What? So, yeah, the word spread. I didn't put it out there like that.
How long after you started writing Sight did you start gaining some momentum and recognition?
Probably about after a year. After a year, just going out, going hard. It's going hard. It's going out every night. I'll be next morning. I'll get back 3 o'clock in the morning. I got school the next day. I'm falling asleep in school, snoring like crazy. But yeah, I would say a year. It took about a year because I saw the GK interview. I saw the Cope 2 KD Kings Destroy video, and I was like, I'm gonna do it like them. I'm gonna kill it like they did it. And those were my motivational coaches. Those were my graffiti coaches right there. Cope 2 and GK. And I saw that Fox 11 news special. I was like, okay, that's how I have to do it. That's how it has to be done.
You mentioned you would go out every night. Mm-hmm. Was this in the time when you were living with your Mexican family?
This is after. I went back to my grandmother's house. and I was sleeping in one of the back houses she had. When I went back over there, that's when it's like I started going very hard. When I was with the Mexican family, I couldn't leave like that. But after they gave me the boot and get out the house, I felt truly alone and abandoned. Went back to my grandmother's house, begged for her to let me stay there. And she did let me come back. And I was there, and I was going out every night, just getting it. Most of the time by myself. I'll get 2 5-gallon paint buckets, a paint stick, backpack full of paint, jump on the 207 Western bus, take it up to the 3rd Street, take 3rd Street bus, the 316. I think it's the 16. Take that down to the LA River when it was really cracking.
What do you tell your grandma? Where do you tell her you're going? What does she say? Does she try to stop you?
No, grandma didn't know, because old people fall asleep early. Grandma, she's asleep at 8, 9 o'clock, so I'm out the door. I'm back in the house before she wakes up.
You mentioned one of the crews that you got in was UPN. Mm-hmm. How were you introduced to that crew, and what made you decide to join it?
UPN, You know, in high school, you got those. In high school, you got those either groups and cliques. So you know how everyone stands together before they start school in the morning. They were just one of those people. Like, I was hanging out with a dude that did breakdancing. He'll go stand over next to him, and then I started standing next to him, and I just started going over there and hanging out with him before school started. First period started out, or was a homeroom. Before the first class started, I'd hang out with them, and then they'll be exchanging black books, graffiti magazines. What's that? Big Times. Big Times was getting passed around. We're looking at all the graffiti, Canadian graffiti magazines. We're looking at all of it, and that's how I got introduced. I just started hanging out with them in the mornings, and then I started trying to do my name with them, and they're like, "Nah, you toy." But on the homie level from UPN, decided to give me a chance, and I was toy, but I guess he seen my potential, so he took me out bombing my first night. We had a hot spot on Washington and Normandy. The TKOs that had it. The TKOs were big back then. They had smacked up the whole wall. Jail had it. Jail had it, and I don't know. There was someone else from TKO that had it, but I remember Jail had that wall. And I went out there. It was like 8:30 at night. I was like, I'm gonna do it like Hope 2. I'm gonna do it like GK. And I did it. Hit the wall, and that shit was horrible. It was fucking horrible. It was nasty. It was a very, very toy.
Was UPN an established crew?
No. When I got into UPN was only around for about 3 years. UPN was created back in 1997. The W2K was a South Central crew that created UPN. W2K was big back in the day, in the 90s, big crew in South Central. One of the members, I think a few of the members of W2K wanted to create UPN. They wanted to create a crew that was strictly about graffiti, about art, and about hip hop. And they got some heads in, and I came around. I got an UPN, I think, in 2000.
Do you know who were some of the original members of UPN that got it off the ground?
Yeah. Chase, Fib, or he changed his name to Senile River, Edge, Think, Area 51, User, Agent 21. Those are the main ones that got off the ground, because we used to go deep. We go to the Belmont tunnels, and Chase was like the man. Chase was the one that had the most style, and we'll go hit the Belmont tunnels back in 2000. Rest in peace, Belmont tunnels. That's a treasure that a lot of graph writers missed out on. That has a lot of history there, and I'm glad I got to experience it.
How do you join UPN? Do they recruit you? Do you ask to be let in? How does that whole thing go down?
Well, back in that time, you just had to kick it. You had to come around. You had to. They had to know you. You had to know who you were and know what you're about, and if you're a decent person, to be down with the crew, because you want to maintain a certain type of chemistry, a certain kind of energy with the crew. So they had to make sure I was cool. I know a lot of people didn't want me in. There's a few heads that didn't want me in UPN because they said I was toy. But there's a few that I was out. There were, I guess, the people that didn't want me in were outvoted because they said I had the heart, I had the passion, and hopefully it'll pay off and I'll evolve. And I'm thankful to those people because I felt like I did evolve in a lot of different ways.
In order to get into UPN, did you have to prove yourself? Did they put special missions on you to go through?
No, they didn't even have to, because when I got in UPN, I put the pressure on myself. I had a lot of healing to do. I had a lot of releasing to do, a lot of decompressing to do. I put the pressure on myself to be the best, to get the most spots, to be the most recognized. I was very competitive with myself. They didn't put any expectations on me. They didn't expect me to become who I became. That was a shock to them. It was a shock to a lot of people in South Central LA. A shock to people in the whole graph game. Because a lot of people just come and they go. But no expectations were put on me. I put the expectation on myself.
Were you hitting up UPN, practicing how your name would look next to those letters before you were even in it?
No, I didn't start hitting up UPN until I was officially in it. I was always like attracted to the circle, the triangle, square, and what they had. Because when I got into UPN, it was like the height of the party crew scene. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but people had the bangs, the long bangs, the big Jenko pants. They will wear what do you call it? They'll wear like cards or photos, tags on a I forgot what it's called, on a necklace. And you'll have their crew on there, or your party crew. But we will wear our UPN crew. Everyone had their little card necklace on, and everybody's wearing the beads and everything. And when they said, and UPN was like inside the circle, triangle, square, I thought that was dope. I thought that was clever that they took the UPN symbol from Channel 13 and turned it into a crew, symbolized by the circle, triangle, square, and there's some deeper meaning to the circle, triangle, square too. So that's pretty dope, man.
Do you remember who was the first one to actually say, "Oh, let's do a circle, a square, and a triangle"?
Nah, that was before. That was all established before I got in.
What does UPN stand for?
UPN, unexplained phenomenons. Under pigs' noses, your pussy's necks, up past night, so many different things, man. And then the circle, triangle, square, on a metaphysical level, represents the circle represents 360 degrees of completeness. The triangle represents the divine, the Holy Trinity, body, mind, soul. And then the square represents the four corners of the earth that we will mob and kill.
Recently, there's been another crew called Love Crew that uses the same square, triangle, and circle, but with a rectangle. Was there any rivalries between the two crews, or what did UPN think about that?
The younger heads were riled up about the Love Crew. They were kind of intimidated by the Love Crew. The OGs weren't really mad about it. I know Love Crew. I kicked it with them a few times, and I know the head, because the head of Love Crew, he was the head from DWP. We were from the same crews back in the day, so we have mutual respect for each other, and I love the concept. I love that concept. To me, that's like some good branding right there. Who doesn't like love? Who doesn't respect love? Who doesn't want love? So UPN, the heart of it, the core of it, is we just want to paint with everybody and be this worldwide universal art club. So I know the little homies weren't really feeling it, but I ran into them. I explained to them it's all love. I got love for them. We'll be painting soon. I just want to paint with people, collab with people, and show people what this graffiti is about. It's not so much about the violence. It's not about destroying anything. It's just about, this is a different medium, a different perspective, a different platform where we can bring people together regardless of your creed, your race, your culture, and reshape the reality of what exists.
Once you're certified and they allow you in UPN, do you celebrate? How do you celebrate?
I mean, like, there's no celebrations. I mean, like, you know, for me, everybody's different. So me, I'm a real private person, stay to myself. I think everyone else is, you know, they light up the blunts and toast the Mickey bottles and or whatever, or the Modelo's. The celebration is not that big. I don't know how other crews do it when they get a new guy in, but for the UPNs, it's just lots of weed and a lot of Modelo's.
You're one of the biggest stars of UPN. What were some of the other artists in that crew alongside you?
That blew up. I mean, Jism. Jism is putting in work a lot right now. She, believe it or not, she was from the crew for like 20 years. She's not from it no more, but she's doing her thing out here right now. She's smashing and getting her respect. Tahoe was one that was in the crew. He did his thing. Oh man, Tahoe. He still has love for the crew, respects the crew. X was from the crew. He was a big name at one point in time. Icon, when he was killing. I think one of the biggest names that stand out is probably Digital. Digital was like a big name out there and very, very influential. Digital was big in UPN.
Causing so much damage at such an early age, were you getting arrested back then?
I got arrested a few times, yeah.
Do you remember the first time you got caught on the streets?
Yeah, I do remember the first time. Went to the Glass House down in downtown LA.
What was that experience like? Do they lock you up with the other felons?
I mean, like, you know, they just they throw me in there with other people that committed crimes, and I'm in a tank. It's cold and there's no pillows and no blankets. First they usher you in with about, you know, 9, 8, 10 different people. And then they send you to a smaller cell, and then you go to court. I mean, you've been wearing your clothes for about 2 or 3 days before you catch the train to go to court. Haven't brushed your teeth in 2 or 3 days. You haven't been wearing the same clothes. Sleeping in the same clothes for like 3 days. And then they take you to the courthouse, and then you sit down there in the dungeon, get your case heard, and if they release you, you get to go home that day. If they don't, you're going to county jail. And that's a whole nother experience right there. But most of the time, the first couple of times I got caught, I got probation, 1 or 2 years probation, and they let me go.
When you first go into jail, do you call anyone or do you just keep it to yourself?
Oh, I'm calling everybody, man. I'm calling all the homegirls, all my close friends, let them know, get into contact with my people, take care of this, take care of that, call my mom or call whoever, call my girl. Whoever didn't have a collect call block on their phone, you know, and whatever number you can remember. That was big. A lot of homegirls, I knew their number by heart, and I just hit them up, and they already knew. After the first time, they knew why I was calling them at 2 in the morning. But the first time, you know, they were like shocked, and you know, they helped me out.
Getting caught in school for graffiti is totally different than going to jail for graffiti that first time. Mm-hmm. What do your parents say? What does your family say that first time going to jail?
First time I got caught, my mom was just like, you shouldn't be doing it. I'm like, all right. Second time I got caught, I had to, the judge asked for me and my mom to see them personally. And they put me in the Scared Straight program down in downtown LA. And I was talking shit to the judge. The judge was just like, you need to stop doing graffiti, you need to get your life together. And I was just like, I'm gonna do this till I die, fuck you. I don't give a fuck, you can't do shit. You can't stop me I'll go out there and write on some shit right now, right when we leave here. You can't do nothing. My mom can't do nothing. Fuck you. She's like, all right, I'll put you in Scared Straight.
What was that experience like? Did it help in any way? Did it make you think about quitting? What was your
Scared Straight was I don't want to diss them, but it was a cakewalk for me. I mean, the first day the cops were screaming in your face and all that stuff, but I knew that they couldn't hit me with my mom right there. That's a assault charge right there. So they screaming and spitting all in your face. But on the weekends when you went to Scared Straight, they'll have you on top of the building where the air is thin, working you to death. And then you had the option to come in on the weekdays. But on the weekdays, you didn't have to do the extreme workout. So I worked my way around that shit. I was just like, I'm not going on the weekends so they can like work me and tire me out. I just went on the weekdays where I forgot what we had to do. But the weekdays was it's a cakewalk. I don't know. I wasn't scared straight for shit. We leaving Scared Straight sometimes, and I'm writing on some more shit, and I'm all up in there with graffiti paraphernalia and all that, and it didn't do much.
Scared Straight, community service? Do you run into any other writers there?
Of course. Run into a lot of writers at Scared Straight. A lot of writers in community service, and believe it or not, that was church. That was fellowship. I mean, there were other writers. I'm like, all right, cool. Oh, you write this. All right, you write that. All right, cool. Let's link up tonight. Let's go paint tonight. Let's go meet up over here tonight. And that's how I met a lot of different writers and got new buddies to go painting with. Thanks to the Scared Straight program, thanks to community service, you made a lot of good nights happen.
Some writers usually fall off after a year or two.
Yeah.
But you've consistently maintained a presence. You kept elevating every year. What was your motivation to keep going? What pushed you further to grow your name?
In the beginning, it was Cope 2 and GK. After that, it was Search. Because graffiti for Search was a lifestyle. And then he introduced me to that lifestyle. I'm up in the house with him. We're making stickers for like 10 hours straight. Just making stickers and stencils. He did this every day. So I was like, wow. But later on in life, I just graffiti became more than just writing on walls. It became a part of who I am, became part of my existence, and it was a way out, man. It was a way to keep hope alive, stay positive, because we deal with a lot of shit out here, man. We're broke. You gotta deal with the cops. You gotta pay these bills. Your girl's tripping. She's tripping on something. Like graffiti was consistent. Sex is one of the greatest ways to release, right? But it's like once a girl knows she has you, she's not gonna give you sex whenever you want it. Good graffiti, I can get that same high whenever I want it. It's consistent. I get the same high I get from having sex during graffiti. Minus the STDs, minus, I gotta cuddle with you after, all that shit. There's no high better than that. There's no high better than that. It's better than sex to me. And I felt like when I became one with it, and it became a spiritual transformation. That shit is like a spiritual awakening to me. Graffiti is.
In your prime, would you go out randomly, or would you do missions, well planned, organized?
Both. I'll do a little bit of both. We might be at the house, chilling. Homies pull up. They want to go out. Let's go get it. There's always spots I want to hit. Even to this day, I write down spots that I see and I want to come back for. I research them. I come back over. I'll go over there in the nighttime, in the daytime, scope them out, look for windows, look for different things, and it's a well-planned mission. And some days it's sometimes other days it's still to this day it's just some random stuff. Let's go look. We'll drive around. I can be in the car. I think we did this not too long ago. Me and Erupt. One of the kings of the street right now, me and Erupt, we're driving around looking for spots to hit. Much props to Erupt though. Erupt is killing right now, coast to coast.
Graffiti, it can be dangerous at times. Going to different neighborhoods in the middle of the night. Did you ever have any run-in with gang members?
All the time, man. It was scary. My homie Slow got shot in the head, hit in one spot. Luckily, the rounds were BBs, and he get his head blown off. There's a spot where I was hitting the billboard, getting down, and the 9-0s, some Crips from South Central, seen us coming down off the building, started chasing us. There was a time where I'm in 40's hood off of Vernon and Western, and it's a hot spot. I'm gonna get this shit. I've been watching it. I'm gonna get it. And I was with the one, and we're hitting it, and someone slang on the street walks up to me and says, he pulls a gun out on me, and it's like, let's walk. And we're walking. He's like, turn right, turn left. We go down this alley. He got his gun out. He said, lay on your stomachs. Pocket checked us. He's like, yo, you guys stay right here. I'm gonna see if he threw out any money or wallets. Stay right here. He takes off. We get up and start running down the alley. This dude comes back and he's looking for us. And we're hiding. I'm like, we're in between houses. The one, I told him, call up somebody, come get us. I'm sitting under somebody's windowsill. They're watching that fucking show MASH. I remember it like it was yesterday. Black and white shit, MASH. I don't remember that TV show. Sitting up under there, listening to the MASH episode, and this dude's walking up and down the alley looking for us with the gun out and shit. So, I mean, the homie came. The homie called the homie. We got in the car. We got out of there. We got saved that day. But I got numerous stories running into gangs and drug dealers, black gangs, Serranos, all that shit.
When someone pulls a gun out on you and leads you into an alley and has you lay down on your stomach, what runs through your mind at that time?
I mean, I'm wired a little different, so I'm like, I watch too many TV shows, so I'm probably like, what's running through my mind is like, damn, how can I get this gun out of his hands, or how can we knock him down, or, you know, what can we do as a team, me and the homie, to get this gun out of his hands and whoop his ass and pistol whip him. That's what's going on through my head. Just waiting for the right moment to flip the script.
You were pretty much everywhere anyone churned in Los Angeles. How would you get your paint?
Old school way, stealing it. Home Depot credit, and wherever we can get it from, paint stores, we stealing it.
How would you steal it? Would you go in there with a big coat, a backpack, or?
Different ways, man. We were really strategic about it, real professional about it. Sometimes we dressed up as maintenance people with utility lunch boxes, not lunch boxes, but like containers, and we'll go in there, pretend that we're workers. That worked a few times. I don't want to give all the game. A lot of distractions. We walked out. We did a lot of walkouts with the carts. Fill the cart up, walk the fuck out. But we had someone set up and make a mean distraction that everybody's focused on that one person, just like they do in the movies. Just start throwing shit around and create a big reaction. Everyone's focused on that situation, and we'll just walk right out the door with the paint.
Once you were established in the UPN crew, your name's growing, were there any other writers that you looked forward to meeting who were on your level at that time?
Oh man, you know what? Everybody, TKOs, OTRs, UTIs. You know, I look forward. I mean, I was simping over the girls of Graph. The girls of Graph was like big to me. Girls like Jail, Tribe, Envy, Pearl. These are girls that were getting up. I didn't meet Jerk until later on. I wanted to meet her too, and I finally met her. But just to finally meet Jail, I was blown out of my mind. And then to meet Tribe, and hang out with Tribe. These are like people I seen in the magazines, and you know, I was starstruck. I wanted to meet the females, and those are the ones I wanted to meet that I felt that were on my level and beyond.
Tribe, TKO, another legendary figure, just as you are. Do you remember how you first met her?
Yeah, I remember her. You know, I was from TKO at one time, and Tumor took me over to her house and introduced me to her. And we became good. Well, I don't know about friends. I don't know her anymore though. But I would kick it with her. Go to her house, clean her house up, cause she was always hustling, always making money, always busy. So I'll go over there and clean her house up, get it straightened out. Tribe was like, she's not like, I mean, like a lot of people make her seem like she's crazy and all that, but that's one of the sweetest women I've ever met. We went to church together. We went and had sushi together. She was always a sweet girl, always a sweet woman, always treated me good.
Definitely a legend.
Yeah.
You also mentioned Tumor of TKO.
Yeah.
How did you meet him, and how did you get into TKO?
I met Tumor in South Central. They were painting a wall. I think he was painting with the FC crew. When the FC crew came through back in 03, 04, they were smashing LA pretty hard. He was painting with the FC crew. He was painting a wall. And I was like, this is the legendary Tumor. I want to meet him, you know. I walked over to him, introduced myself, and, you know, he's like, oh, you're your site? Okay, cool. And we started hanging out, started kicking it with him. Because at this time, TKO was like, this was the best LA crew, bombing LA crew ever at this point. They had Hell, Gour, Colt 45, Jail, Tribe. They had so many different names and heads. And I was like, and this is in Tumor, T-Lokes. So that's how I met him. I met him on a sunny afternoon, South Central LA off of 67th in Vermont. And it took off from there.
Meeting Tumor and TKO, how does he ask you to join his crew? Do you remember that?
I mean, I don't remember, but I think he asked.
How does someone join one of the biggest crews at that time? Do they ask you? Do you say you want to get in? How does that work?
I mean, I was down to get in I was down to get in TKO. To me, that was a great crew. I think Tumor asked me if I wanted to rep it, and I was like, yeah. And I started repping it. I mean, there was a few TKOs that did not want me in. I'm not gonna say their names, but they didn't want me in. They were like, this dude's too toy. This dude's toy, he got no style. I don't want him in, but, you know, Tumor vouched for me and spoke up for me, and I was in. That was it.
When did you know Cite UPN? When did you know that you had elevated that name to superstar level? Did something happen? Were you getting recognized everywhere? When did you sit down and say, "Man, I'm really up there. I'm one of the big ones"?
You know what? Like, to this day, I still don't think I'm where I want to be. And I think part of that comes with Search, because Search told me, never say or call yourself a king. Never say that you're the uppest person. Never talk big about yourself. Let the spectators do that. Still to this day, with Search's counsel, I humble myself, and I never want to say that ever again, that I'm the king, I'm the best, and that I'm not gonna say I'm better than anybody else. But I guess I started feeling like I was somebody when people would come up to me and want me to draw in their books, and that was like, whoa, you want me in your book? And that still humbles me to this day. I still tell people thank you for letting me draw in your book. And with Search's guidance and counsel, his words echo to this day. I don't want to be that person that's cocky. I don't want to be that person that's big on himself and thinking I'm the shit. Because there's always someone that's gonna come along that's better. There's always someone that's gonna come and can outdo you. So let me stand out by being humble, having a good spirit and a good heart.
At the height of your powers, something happens. You're arrested and charged with 72 felony counts. Your bail is $1 million, and you're facing 34 years in prison. Do you remember that day when you were finally caught and charged?
Oh yeah, I remember that day. They raided my house. I was supposed to go to school that day. They raided my house, and it's about 8 o'clock in the morning. They had the guns out with lasers. Came in the house, drug me out the bedroom, handcuffed me, and they were playing good cop, bad cop. Basically, they said they've been looking for me for 3 years. Taxpayers' monies were going into looking for me for 3 years.
Before you were arrested that morning, did you have any suspicion you were being followed or traced?
I did. One, people were telling me that people were looking for me. Certain homies were telling me, but I didn't understand why they were telling me that. So that could have been a sign that someone snitched on me, and I wasn't really paying attention to it. Two, my grandmother that I was staying with at the time said that I had a parole officer was calling me, checking in on me, and asking her different questions about when I was coming home. I didn't even know who that was, so that was another flag that I didn't pay attention to. And I just had dropped TKO, and I know people were upset about that from TKO. So I don't know if they, because of me dropping TKO, I don't know if they would have want to see me go down. So it was a lot of different. It could have been a lot. There was a lot of different flags, red flags that I didn't pay attention to.
That morning, when the cops raid your home, what goes through your head when you see guns pointed at you?
Well, I'm thinking they got the wrong house. Like, why would the cops come 15 deep, got my house surrounded with assault rifles, all in the house pointed at me? I'm like, they got the wrong guy, because you want to do this for graffiti. You want to, it's not that serious, Who does that? And the first thing they said is, where are the drugs and guns? So I'm like, I really thought they got the wrong person, but they handcuffed me, and I think one of the lead detectives was just like, you know why we're here? Still didn't know what he was talking about. And then he said that he had the same judge that signed the warrant to go after OJ was the same one that signed the warrant to come after me.
Judge Ito?
Yeah, I guess. And when they walked me out to the police car, I saw the MTA Metro symbol on the side of the car. I'm like, oh, this is about graffiti.
When you're arrested there, do you know the charges you're facing, or do they tell you later?
I don't. I'm thinking slap on the hand. I'm gonna get some probation. Cause it's just graffiti, right? It's not that serious. So I didn't find out till later.
What does your grandma say when she sees all this police presence in your home?
Oh, she's horrified. She's scared to death. She's thinking she think I killed somebody. All the neighbors thought I was doing some kind of I raped somebody. They thought I was a rapist. That's why they came in there like that. Everybody was making up all these different stories. I'm a murderer and a rapist and all these different things. But little did they know they got me for graffiti.
Once they transfer you to jail and they tell you your charges and you see what you're facing, what goes through your mind then?
I was in shock, because I didn't believe it, man. Like 34 years for graffiti. $1 million bail, because I was like telling my grandmother, can't she bail me out? She's like, your bail's $1 million. I can't do nothing.
When you get arrested and you're facing all this time, do you have a job? Do you have responsibilities that now you lose because of your arrest?
Of course. I had 2 jobs. I was working 90 hours a week. I was a full-time college student, going for my associate's degree. I was barely sleeping. I was working, school, graffiti. That was my life. I was working 2 jobs because I was saving up money to buy my mom a house. I was mentoring different kids so they won't get into gangs. So when I got locked up, I felt like the judge and the courts will see like, okay, this dude's not all bad. He's doing stuff. He's working. He's a law-abiding. I mean, not law-abiding, but he's a responsible dude. Like, just give him a fine and some probation. But I lost my 2 jobs. All my classes, I got fails. Those people that I was mentoring, those boys, all got into gangs. And my jobs loved me so much that they let my sisters hold my jobs for me just in case I would get out. They let my sister work in my place because they wanted to hold on to me and help me out. But I thought they would see the human side of me. I thought they would see the person that I was, but they basically saw me as a monster. They saw me as a villain. It gave me a 5-year enhancement on my time. I don't know why to this day. They gave me a 5-year enhancement. So, yeah.
Do you contemplate fighting the case, or did you think about a plea deal right away?
That was on my mind, man. If I took it to trial and lost, these were my thoughts. If I took it to trial and lost, I'll be doing 17 years in prison for graffiti. Or I take the plea deal and get out early for good behavior, but that's still 9 years, a 9-year plea deal. Even the public defender, or the public pretender, as they call him, was like, just take the deal, dude. Just take the deal, and you'll be out in no time. And I'm just like, nah, dude, my life is all fucked up. My school's fucked up. Everything I got going is all fucked up. Like, we can't work something out. I can't pay a fine. I got 2 jobs. I got people to help. It didn't matter, man. And, I was in my political science class, I was doing research on the prison industrial complex. And it's one thing to study it outside of prison, but it's another thing to actually see it. How people of color, just all races, we're just cattle, we're just used, we're just stock. We're just pushing people's stock, making people rich.
How do you break it to the people you love that you might be doing 9 years in prison?
You know, my family found out in court during the sentencing. My sister cried out in court and was crying about it. I told a lot of people that I was going away for a while. I told Search too. That was the first guy I wanted to. That's the first guy I wanted to tell, because that was my brother, and that made him really upset and really sad at the same time. And I never heard a grown man cry ever in my life, and I don't want to say that to take away his credibility, or his masculinity, but to hear someone so powerful as Search, this is a powerful dude, shedding tears for me, that still hits me to this day. That hits me that he has so much love for me, and that's when I really felt like, damn, this graffiti transcends, man. It transcends. You can't buy that kind of love. You can't find that kind of love.
That day that you're finally sentenced, do you remember that day? Could you sleep the night before?
No, I was nervous. I was nervous, man. I mean, my experience in LA County Jail was horrible. You know, 99% of the black people in the county jail are affiliated. I wasn't affiliated. So I had to watch a lot of, I got punked for a lot of my shit because I was outnumbered. I watched a lot of gang riots, Bloods and Crips. So leading up to it, I didn't get no sleep. The night before, I thought, praying to God, like something would happen, but that didn't help. That didn't happen. It happened, man. It happened. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was just worried. And just worried, man. Like, what's going to happen? And why? Where's God at in all this?
Once you're sentenced, are you taken right away to prison? Where are you taken?
After it happened, you got to wait a while to catch the chain. I think it takes about 1 to 3 months. I think I waited 2. You got to wait for a prison to endorse you. So I waited for that to happen. I think Kern County endorsed me, and I went to reception. And that was it, man. I was like on the chain, going to jail. Going to prison, like, for graffiti. A lot of people didn't believe I was in there for graffiti. A lot of people think I'm a rapist, like, think I'm a pedophile. Like, nah, dude, I'm in here for graffiti. And it's a scary situation though, because people can jump you and kill you in there if they really believe that you're something that you're not. But by the grace of God, they believed that I did graffiti, especially when I got the reception. Reception was intense, because you have the blacks and the I don't know, like the Serranos and Southsiders don't really get along, and in that they got them in the same reception dorm, and they're not really supposed to like interact like that. But when I get to reception, shit, man, like I got like 10 Serranos and Southsiders run up on me. Not because they want to fuck me up, because they know me from the streets, man. They know me from the fucking streets. I got some MIWs, J2Hs. there were some other crews, some guys, they ran up on me like, dude, why are you here? Like, I got busted for graffiti. Like, what? And I got all these guys around me. You got the blacks trying to figure out what's going on. You got the Serranos, Southsiders, like, what the fuck? And I gained the respect of all the Serranos and Southsiders in that reception dorm because I did graffiti. Every night I was drawing for the Serranos and the Southsiders. Every night. For their daughters, their kids, their girlfriends, their moms. Every night. So when some shit did go down, they didn't lay a hand on me, man. And I don't know what to call that, but I just tell you that graffiti transcends those color lines, man. Graffiti, if you done it and you in it, people respect it. And that shit, graffiti, showed me that when I got to prison, that a lot of that shit that goes on in prison with the racism is just politics. Because if it was really real, if it was really on some racist shit, they would have did something to me. But seeing my homies that are Southsiders and Serranos risk their neck to talk to me and ask me for drawings, that says a lot, man.
Did you catch any spots while you were in prison?
Not in prison. Nah. When I was in prison, that's not a great place to be. It killed my spirit, killed my soul. I was just trying to cope with the fact that I was still in there. The most I was doing is just drawing for people, drawing tattoos and drawing their daughters' names. But
can you describe a typical day in prison?
Reception or mainline?
Mainline.
Because I went from reception to mainline, then I went to fire camp. So mainline, you wake up, it's chow time. 6:30, 7 o'clock. You got to get up. You got to be up before they pop the gates. I'm at Old Folsom. You got to be up before they'll pop the gates because sometimes you don't know what kind of shit is going on in the prison, on the yard, that people can run up in your cell and shank you up and beat you up. So you always got to be ready, up, shoes tied and ready before that gate pops open. And then when you're out there walking the main line or walking the chow in the morning, watch yourself, watch movements, make sure you notice the patterns so you'll know if the evasion or a ride's going to start. Get the breakfast. Everyone, all the cards sit together. You got your others, Serranos, Southsiders, blacks, Peckerwoods, skinheads. Everyone got their section. And you go out, go back to the cell. If I didn't have school that day, I'm in the cell all day watching TV, reading books, and sleeping all day. And then it's time for chow time again and dinner. Same thing, unless we're on lockdown. And sometimes you want to go out to the yard. My cellie asks for some cell time. Maybe he wants to jerk off, choke his chicken, whatever. Or you got to give your cellie cell time. So I'll go out to the yard. But since I wasn't affiliated, I had to walk the yard alone, which is very dangerous. But I didn't want to be affiliated with any Crips or Bloods, because once that starts, it's a world of trouble. So I walked the yard alone, the most dangerous thing you can probably do. And didn't kick it with nobody. And it kept me safe.
Receiving so much time in prison for graffiti is kind of soul crushing. Mm-hmm. What would you say kept you positive for all that time? Who do you credit for helping you make it through that?
There was this girl. Well, you know what? There was one girl in the whole graffiti community. There's one girl who used to write me. Like, she found me on MySpace and called my grandmother back, got my info, and was writing me every day. Well, no, once a week. The people that would write me every day were people that did graffiti. the whole graffiti community kept mail coming to me every day. I got mail every day from people that did graffiti. Every day. Magazines. Tahoe got me magazines. But I got mail every day from the graffiti community. I was like a celebrity in prison. Every day I got mail. Every day. From different writers, different supporters that did graffiti. Homies from my crews. Search used to write me. That dude used to write me so much. 47er used to write me. Above, so many people show me love. That's what kept me going. That's what kept me pushing. Because I'm like, at one point I'm ready to give it up. But the graffiti community was writing me every day. Like, fuck, man. Like, I can't leave this behind. I won't leave it behind. And I want to give that back. What they gave me all those years being in prison, I want to give that back and show that love back. And that's what kept me going, man. The graffiti community kept me going. The love, the support. People would write me. I mean, Spun hit me up one day and was like, somebody put money in your books. They hate you. They don't like you, but they want to support you. Like, fuck. Like, damn. That's crazy.
Ultimately, how much time did you end up doing in prison?
When I went to fire camp, it cut down some time. I wanted to go to fire camp as soon as I got there, but my score, my prison points were so high that I started off on level 4 with all the murderers and violent criminals. I started on level 4. So that was crazy, because I'm like, damn, I didn't even kill nobody, but I can get killed right now. I'm in a cell with someone that committed murder. But when I got to main, it took some years for my points to drop, but I was able to get to fire camp and I dropped some off. But I went in and I would say I did 2007, 8, 9, 10. I did about 5 years. 5 of those 9 years.
Now that you've spent the majority of time in prison, as that release date gets closer, what goes through your mind? Are you institutionalized? Do you have doubt as what life would be outside?
I didn't want to go back to LA. I didn't want to leave prison. I wanted to stay in there. Because I felt like there's nothing to go back to. It's a cesspool of traps to try to, either we're risking our freedom or we're slaving away trying to make ends meet, or we're miserable trying to find love. I didn't want to go back to that. But they said I had no choice. And you have to parole. I wanted to parole somewhere else, a different state, start over, start a new beginning, but you have to go back to where you committed the crime, which I felt was another trap to get people to come back. There is no rehabilitation in prison. There's none of that. There's no psychologist. There's nobody helping you do rehab. They call it that, but that place is basically set up for you to come back, to recommit the same crimes.
Do you remember your last day in prison?
I do. My boy Aloe, they used to be from WK and BWI. He sent me my dress outs, and I had a white t-shirt and some Dickies and some Chucks. And he picked me up on my last day. A few of the homies were, I don't know what's up with guys crying and shit, but a few of the homies were crying and they didn't want to see me go. I gave away all the stuff I could give away. And I jumped in the car and just took off, went and got something to eat.
How did it feel to finally step out of those walls and into freedom?
I felt vulnerable, man. Like, cause nothing and no one prepares you for that. Not in prison. They just throw you out there. You know, I just, you know, they took me to the beach. They took me to Venice Beach, and I had to smell the seawater. You know, I'm seeing all these women. I'm like, damn. And it felt great. It felt good to be out. It felt like a nightmare was over. But at the same time, I felt like I was released into a much larger prison. So, and that's how I still feel sometimes to this day. Like, we can only do so much before they take away our freedoms and our liberties. As long as you do this, as long as you don't do that, you can have this and that. But if you don't program, like in prison, you don't program on the streets, they will punish you. They'll make you suffer. You don't want to get a job? You don't want to obey the rules? Okay, we got something for you. Just like in prison. People don't want to go to school in there, they don't want to work. They put you in a jail within the jail, a prison inside the prison.
Once you're out, what's that first meal that you're craving for? Where do you go to eat?
It was, you know what? They took me to the restaurant somewhere. I think Big Pine, Lone Pine, right outside Bishop. I think my first meal was like some eggs. Was it eggs? No, it wasn't eggs. Like some veggie patties and potatoes and hash browns with a tall glass of orange juice.
Does it all feel like a dream now? Do you still have nightmares about it?
Oh yeah, I still have the trauma. I mean, I saw people get killed in there. I saw people get sliced up. I saw people OD in there. I saw the guards beat up people, break people's faces, break their fingers. You know, the guards would tell us they want us to come back. They'll hope that we come back. It's a whole nother world, man. That you'll never forget. Anyone that's been to prison, you'll never forget it. It's like going to war. It's like doing time in Nam or Afghanistan, but in a whole different way. Maybe like Guantanamo Bay or something like that. Like you're tortured. You can't go home.
Thank goodness you're out. You have such an incredible story site. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Recently, though, you had a big loss. As you mentioned, Search from RTH passed away.
Mm-hmm.
How did you first meet him?
I met Search at Venice Beach. Me and Digital decided to go to Venice Beach, and we had some bats with us. And then the cops immediately checked us, said we can't walk around with bats because it's a weapon, so we stashed that. And he was at the beach, at the Venice walls, doing what he does, drawing in books, exchanging stickers, getting people to write, get the tags in there. And I was like, dude, I've been seeing you up, man. And he's like, oh, you sight? What? You black? I'm like, yeah. And then from that moment on, I'm like, I'm sticking to your hip as long as I can. And then wherever he went, I wanted to be. And he took care of me. That dude was like the ultimate big brother I always wanted to have. Make sure I was fed, you know, make sure my shoes were tied, make sure I dot the I's, make sure. He taught me a lot. He put me in Colt. Man. And I was like a big crew back then. I was like, wow, I'm in Colt. Like, this is fucking dope. And the children under Lucifer's teachings. Like, that was fucking dope, man. And then I just stuck to his side. I just tried to absorb as much game as I could from him. He was a legend to me. He was the king of the stickers and still is. And that's how I met him, Venice Beach. It was him drawn in a book, and it was Coffee from ETI drawn in a book, and Coffee was sick. I was like, damn, Coffee is fucking sick, dude. Yeah. But rest in peace, Search.
Do you remember where you were when you heard the news Search had passed?
Yeah. I was at home with my kids. Real sad because I've been intending to get to him and kick it with him, but I've been so consumed with the family life, raising my kids. And that's the fucked up thing about people when they pass. You think you got enough time to kick it with them and meet up with them again. And then when they pass, you're like, damn, I wish I could have got to them sooner. I wish I would have kicked it with them a little bit more before that happened. And it was a sad day, man. I went to the funeral. I went to the wake. It's very beautiful. All the OGs showed up. Smear, Spun, Gasso. Everybody showed up.
Definitely a legend that will be remembered forever. Now, let's talk about the current graffiti on the streets.
All right.
I need to ask you, actually, let's rewind that.
All right.
From your perspective, who's on your Mount Rushmore of graffiti?
Ooh.
Who would you say are the top 5 writers in your book to ever put it down on the streets?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive.
Well, Search is going to be, for sure, number 1. I got Revoke on there. Search, Revoke. I'm going to have to say Cray from K4P. He's underrated. I would say, yeah, Search, Cray. Oh, man. What was the second one I said? Search, Cray.
Revoke.
Revoke for sure. Trying to think of like dead or alive, like Mount Rushmore. I gotta give it up. I gotta put one of the females on there. A lot of people might not agree with me on this one, but it's just my generation from what I saw. I would want to put Gel on there. Gel was a killer. That girl was killing. She was doing shit like crazy. And Mount Rushmore. It's gonna have to be
How about a few of your favorite crews that you would see?
I think that's my Mount Rushmore right there, man. Like Search, Revoke, Cray, Gel, and I'm gonna have to say GK. Cause I remember that I remember GK that got me pumped. That got me pumped. Cope 2 like will be the 6th one if there was a 6th one, but cause he got me on he would always do the same throwy all the time. I was like, okay, if he can do that on the East Coast, I can do that shit on the West Coast. So, but yeah, that's my Mount Rushmore right there.
Just as important as the writers are the crews.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of your favorite crews to see around Los Angeles?
Around LA, no doubt LTS. LTS was like one of my favorites to see. MTA, of course TKO at that time. The OTRs and the UTIs. Those are my favorites. Those were there's some other crews like that don't exist no more. Really, I really like seeing the J2H's up, Colt, the BS crew. I don't know if people remember that. I like seeing them up. BMFs, they used to get up a lot. Those were crews I like to see, that I used to see a lot, that stood out to me.
Fast forwarding to today, are there any writers that catch your eye that are coming up?
Oh yeah. Like my boys from the crew, Mayor and Ciroc and Mayor, they catch my eye. Thrash. Outside of the crew, Smug, of course. Outside the UPN crew that catch my eye, Erupt. Rup's a killer. I think Scoer for MTA. Jism's doing her thing. I know a lot of people don't like this dude, but Arte's doing his thing. Who else, man? Dr. One. That dude is doing his thing. Oh, goddamn, Dr. One. Oh, man, that dude's doing it. I seen Rollos getting up. I've been seeing him up. And Disable. Who else? They're standing out to me. I think, I don't know how to say the name. Akua? AQA? AQA? AKUA. Yeah, those are some names that are standing out to me. Yeah.
Sight, it's been a great interview with you. I really appreciate you sitting down with us once again. What can we look forward to with Sight? What's in store for the future for you?
I mean, I just dropped the album, Graffiti Motivation 101. It's an audio album, just talking about giving people an introduction to graffiti. You can find it on any platform: Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Music, iTunes. And just breaking down the basics of graffiti, the 101, get people introduced to it. But next is I'm writing a book called 10 Commandments of Graffiti. And basically, I think people need to know what the 10 Commandments are. And one of them is knowing thyself, knowing who you are, knowing your name, knowing your history, knowing the history of graffiti, where the graffiti has come from, where you're going with it, and the importance of your name and choosing the right name, and knowing and doing the research and making sure no one's had your name already. Another commandment is that I have in there is what's the other commandment? Respecting your elders, respecting the people that came before you, and acknowledging that they did a lot to bring the game to where it's at right now, and respecting them and letting them know that respect all your OGs. That's big. I know a lot of people don't respect their OGs, but these guys paved the way. They are like all-star Hall of Famers, you know? So that book is going to have that. It's going to be a simple book, 20 pages, because people nowadays are overstimulated. They got a short attention span. Keeping easy, simple, a little guidebook that people can buy, and we'll put it on Amazon. Probably sell it for like $5, $5. So I'll make it nice and affordable. So I sell it for like $5 or $10, probably $10, because Amazon's gonna get their cut. But the intentions are not to make money, but to educate and inform. Yeah, that's what's next.
Sight, once again, a great interview. We look forward to all your upcoming ventures. And thank you for sharing your story, your history with our audience.
Yeah, man, anytime.
We really appreciate it, and we're going to have you back soon.
Okay.
So thank you very much. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's our premiere episode of GRAFFTV.
Okay.
And we'll see you on the next one.
All right, man.
Thank you.